Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. My name is Kristen. It's been about 3 gajillion years since I filmed, but I am a healer and my first priority was to heal myself. And I am back better than ever. And I am so happy to be with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are new to this channel and unaware of who I am and what I do, I was a television producer for many years. And in 2012, I had a huge awakening and any and all psychic gifts opened up for me in an instant. And it has been quite a journey since then. So in today's video, I want to talk about the energies going on right now. There are very profound ascension energies, and there was a source code that as a collective we have been downloading. I got the source code on December 26th and it knocked me out for 4 days while I integrated this massive download. So I do holistic healing and I read energy. So I don't just read energy for my clients, and in sessions I also read collective energy, ascension energy, and I want to share with you what I have been seeing in the collective. And also I want to just take care of 2 little housekeeping things before I get started. I am back on Facebook. Mark Z doesn't have the greatest track record with integrity, and so I was boycotting Facebook for a period of time because of that. But I really found that I would like some positivity on Facebook. So if you are looking for some positivity on Facebook, the link to follow my business page is below. Now, I might have been maybe a little shadow hand from Facebook for calling out Mark Z and his lack of integrity. So you will need to hit the notification bell and actively seek out the page, or else you probably won't see the posts. Also, the Magical Kristen website online booking, automatic booking is back up. 2019 was the worst year of my life, and I had to take it down for a period of time because I was working part-time and also took extended amounts of time off last year while I got myself sorted. But I have been booked with clients and I have been loving connecting with everyone. And if you have had a session with me since December 26th, my pineal gland has helped your pineal gland download and integrate this massive source code. Okay, so let's talk about the universal ascension energies that are going on right now. So if you haven't noticed, the patriarchy is in the process of crumbling. Sad for them. So spiritual people have been talking about this for years, rise of the divine feminine, and we have actually now reached the tipping point. So what was the tipping point? The tipping point is that there are more awakened women on the planet than there are sleepy old dense men. And so the fall of the patriarchy is gonna be ugly, okay? But it is assured, it is happening, there's nothing they can do about it. And it's gonna seem like they're winning for a long time, right? It's gonna seem like, wait a minute, Kristen said that the patriarchy was falling, but yet it seems as though they get another point in their column. Well, they are not going to go down without a fight. But this does also not mean that it is the rise of the matriarchy. The age of Aquarius, Sat Yug, the new phase of ascension and awakening that we are entering now is all about balance. And it's not about one side having advantage over the other side. It is about the divine masculine and the divine feminine within us coming into harmony, and thus that harmony reaching all around the globe. So I want to talk about how the fires in Australia, and the animals have bravely sacrificed themselves so that the patriarchy can fall. The patriarchy has been in power for so long, it's hard to even imagine what it's going to be like without their destructive reign of terror all over the planet. And so we can start to harness and feel what this is like, this balance within ourselves, the peace and harmony within ourselves, when we're not fighting against ourselves, when we're looking and seeing everything through the eyes of love and compassion and humanity for all. So the fires in Australia are a massive clearing. They are a purification. And the indigenous people in Australia have been on that land since Lemuria. And they are the sacred keepers of ancient knowledge, of ancient esoteric wisdom. And I have such an affinity for these Aboriginal tribes in Australia. I actually have memories of past lives going to visit them. And I, with deep, deep reverence, have such a respect for how they live their life. So the Aboriginal people in Australia have been and know how to activate their crown chakra. They also know how to activate the land and the ley lines that they are on. And so the fires are a massive, massive wake-up call about how we treat our planet and about how we treat each other. Sometimes in the awakening process, the purge, the burn off, the release of the soul sludge is not fun. It is not comfortable, and it's super hard to understand with our linear mind. But every soul that comes to earth knows exactly what their fate is going to be here. We signed up for this long before we entered this body, when we were in spirit form. Prior to our physical incarnation here on earth, we knew as a soul what our journey and what our fate is and was going to be. So we can hold sacred space for the animals, for the Aboriginal people in Australia, for everyone in Australia, and as a collective that we wake up to how important it is to take care of and honor Mother Gaia. So the next thing that I want to talk about is, what is this source code? So in 2020, we started to get a totally different influx of photon light packages. And if you have been following me for any amount of time, especially on Facebook, you know what photon packages of light are. And the more that we awaken, the more soul sludge we release, the more density and duality and patriarchal rule that we release within ourselves, the more we have access to the source codes. So we receive countless downloads, upgrades, and activations through a lunar cycle, through eclipses, full moons, new moons, numeric alignments, the 111 portal, the 1212 portal, and we receive many activations all throughout the day. A couple of days ago, I started to feel really, really weird. Something was happening up in my crown chakra, and I looked at the time, and of course, it was 11:11. So I knew I was getting a download. But the major source codes happen about every 2 years, because it takes humanity about that long to download and integrate that into the chakra systems and into all the systems in our body. When the pineal gland started to process these new photon packages of light, all kinds of latent DNA strands and latent parts of the human body start to come back online. And this is not just theoretical or woo-woo or even pseudoscience. This is actually real and tangible. And I posted a couple of headlines of articles about research being done on the human genome and DNA strands on Facebook if you want to check those out and do the research for yourself. So in 2020, the activation of the pineal gland began. And then roughly about every 2 years, we get another source code. So our telomeres have gotten woken up. Our heart chakra and our pineal gland have synced, which is very much on purpose. So you can only awaken to a point of which your heart is in the right place. The activation of the kundalini moving up and down the spine. In one of the major source code integrations in 2014, my eyes changed over from seeing normally to seeing only energetically. And at this point in 2020, I honestly can't even remember what it was like to see the other way, the normal way, because I'm so used to seeing everything energetically now, because it has had time to fully integrate. So let's get to source code 4. And if you guys want me to go into full detail about what all of these source codes are, I would be happy to. Leave me a comment below and let me know if that's a video you'd be interested in, and I'm happy to do it. Now, source codes that I'm getting might be a little bit different than maybe what someone else is explaining, and these are just how I read the energies. So all of my energy reports are what I'm seeing in the collective, what I observe in my spiritual awakening, and also what I see with my clients. So it could be a little bit different from what you're getting from an astrological perspective or from another spiritual teacher, just because it's coming through the filter of myself and my own experience. I try to be as unbiased and objective as I can and lead from love in my heart. So always just take what resonates for you with the energy and ascension updates. Okay, so this last source code was a 6-point source code through the pineal gland. Like I said, I got it on December 26th. That knocked me out for 4 days. I wrote on Facebook that I was sleeping beauty because I would sleep for hours and hours and hours, and I would wake up and I would look in the mirror and I would be like, do I look better? Do I look better? Oh, I do. So I could like see what was happening in my physicality by all the sleep that I was getting, and I knew I was integrating something. But it wasn't until the second eclipse on January 10th that I really started to understand that I had downloaded and integrated a massive, massive source code through my pineal gland that is an upgrade of the endocrine system. And so our bodies, we use about 1/5 of our brain. Our body can make about 64 different chemical combinations, but only makes 24. We have 3 billion different circuits of chains of chemicals and processes that can happen, 3 billion, and we only translate about 60 million. So humans are operating at a much diminished place right now because of, you guessed it, the patriarchy. In many years ago, thousands and thousands of years ago, prior to Regulus moving into Leo, which that marks the patriarchy. And a couple of years ago, I read this article about how Regulus was moving out of Leo and into Virgo, and that marks the end of the patriarchy. Well, the Egyptians understood this very well, and they built 2 sphinxes, Leo and Virgo, to mark this monumental shift here on Earth. And old pictures from the conquistadors' drawings from the 1500s show the 2 sphinxes before one of them, you know, got destroyed, and the other one's face has gotten destroyed through weather, through wars, through the patriarchy, through hidden esoteric knowledge being buried, right? The patriarchy doesn't want us to have access to our magic, an energy of a damsel in distress. And so this source code and the download of it is so profound because it releases and helps us to see beyond our limitations. So when this source code comes in 6 different points in your pineal gland and then makes its way through your chakras and endocrine system, which is your thyroid, your pituitary gland, your adrenals, and depending if you are a male or female, your sexual organs, it helps to upgrade perception, awareness, consciousness, and releases the mind's linear way of seeing limitation. So when we have a quote unquote problem, our brain starts to go through all of the potential resolutions, the potential answers, and it comes typically from a very limited scope of, well, I only have options A through C, or maybe I only have 5 options, when in reality we have unlimited options. When in reality there is an unlimited response answer to your quote unquote problem. And so source code 4 is going to help us to return to our holistic state, which is limitless, which is infinite, which is open to all possibilities. And this source code allows us to access more opportunities in our life. It also readjusts our perception of love, readjusts our eyes to see through the eyes of love, to see love and compassion as our dominant vibration. Because when we are in that vibration, the possibilities then become known, right? When we're in a state of fear and being limited, all possibilities, everything just collapses down. So this also is affecting manifestation. So I lived this in 2019, and I have seen so many crappy videos on YouTube. High vibe nation, gotta be in a high vibe. There's some lady that like sits in her car talks about manifesting, and there's nothing wrong with sitting in your car. I've had to sit in my car to film videos. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But I just have to keep hitting not interested, because I want everyone to know that you can still manifest things if you are not in a high vibe, and you don't have to be in a high vibe all the time to manifest or to be ascending, to be in a spiritual awakening journey. You don't even have to be in high vibe all the time to manifest your twin flame union. It is about being authentic. And in this new energy, we manifest from a place of authenticity. And so if you're struggling to manifest right now and beating yourself up for not being able to stay in a high vibe, I highly recommend ceasing and desisting watching any videos like that, because it is toxic to spiritually bypass how you really feel. And 2019 was all about releasing soul sludge. And if your body's having a hard time downloading and integrating the source code, it is because there is still soul sludge. There is still emotional density, physical density, mental density. There is still some sort of density that is prohibiting these light photon packages from integrating the higher vibes, the awakened vibes, the ascension vibes. So what do you do about this? What I discovered in my own life in 2019 is when I show up for myself in love, no matter how I'm feeling, I can manifest anything. And I did. I manifested some really huge dreams coming true in 2019 from simply allowing myself to be authentic and showing up for myself with love, regardless how I felt, regardless of what was going on in my internal world or external world. And guess what? When you show up with love for yourself, no matter how you are feeling, because if you're in a soul sludge purge, it is really hard to be high vibe. And if you spiritually bypass how you're really feeling and don't allow yourself to feel those emotions, guess what? They're going to come out sideways one way or another. Okay? So when you show up with yourself, for yourself, with love, guess what? You automatically are in a higher vibe because you're in self-love. There is no higher vibe than that. And so these ascension energies are going to get more intense because the patriarchy is not going to give up without a fight. And in December, divine masculine went through a deconstruction of the ego. So that happened for men and for women, no matter what kind of gender you present. We all have divine masculine and divine feminine within us that is yearning to be free. For masculine energy, it shows up as toxicity, toxic masculine. And for feminine energy, this energy shows up as disempowered feminine. There inherently really is no toxic femininity because femininity in its organic form is non-threatening because it is intuitive and fluid. But in a lower vibe, in a denser vibe, femininity when disempowered is the equal to toxic masculinity. Just said in a little bit of a different way. So what I observed in December as men that I love was I watched their ego deconstruct. Clients, my own self, is it feels like you're dying. When the ego deconstructs, your self-protective mechanisms, they go bye-bye. And there were times that I walked around in December where I literally felt naked because I felt my ego come crashing down. All my defense mechanisms all come crashing down. And at times I just felt like I was walking around naked. It felt very uncomfortable. So if you are or have experienced the deconstruction of your ego, that is a massive soul sludge purge. And a lot of our higher selves at the end of 2019 were really pushing the soul sludge out because this source code wants to come in. If you love a man or love a masculine energy that was going through this, there was a healthy detachment that started to happen because you cannot take your partner's awakening for them. And no one can take your awakening for you. So it is important to have love and compassion for our brothers and sisters as the ego deconstructs, as the true authentic self emerges. At this point, I don't think I have ever felt like this in my life. I feel healed. The anxiety is gone. That's the other awesome part about this source code. It gives you such peace and allows you to release so much anxiety. I am awakened. I've healed heartbreak. I've healed my physical body. I have released soul sludge, massive amounts of it from my female lineage, from the masculine lineage as well. And I am so excited to get to know myself because this has just never been like this before. I have never felt this level of peace, and I have also never known myself at this level and actually really liked who I am. So these are all of the positive outcomes from downloading this source code, even though when we're in the process of it, it can be so ugly and so uncomfortable. And I have spoken to so many clients over the last couple of weeks and months who have had another bout of dark night of the soul, who have had many dark nights of the soul. And you guys, I have been there, I understand. And what I want you to know is it has a purpose and it does pass. Dark Night of the Soul, and I made a whole video about it, which I will link below, Healing Messages for Dark Night of the Soul. If you have experienced a Dark Night of the Soul over the last couple of months, it happened because it was imperative for you to release that soul sludge so that you could download and integrate and upgrade your pineal gland and endocrine system. So If you are in need of assistance integrating the source code, if you are struggling, if you have been through Dark Night of the Soul, or if you are wondering what 2020 clear vision means for you in this amazing year where we enter the gateway of Aquarius, all the information is below to book an appointment with me. I thank you so much for watching this video, and I send you so much love, and I'm holding space for your awakening and for your twin flame union, and I will be back with more information about the current energies soon. Lots of love, everybody. Namaste.